Every person in Formula One is chasing wins. And 2026 F1's new era brings big opportunities for teams like Aston Martin.
I'm not good on celebrating, so I will be massively satisfied for 5 minutes. Because then is, okay, what next? What next? What next? That is my nature. I need targets. I need the journey to the target.
This is F1 Beyond the Grid. I'm Tom Clarkson. Enrico Cardile's journey began in Italy. His target was never Formula One, but after working on Ferrari road cars, he moved to the F1 team and to single-seaters that took Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen and Charles Leclerc to race wins. So what drove an Italian Formula One engineer to move away from Italy and away from Ferrari? Well, a new target, helping Aston Martin to become F1 winners. Enrico is Aston's Chief Technical Officer. He joined midway through 2025, and his focus is developing the car for the new technical rules in 2026. And he's not the only person to leave a team with a full trophy cabinet to join one hoping to fill theirs up. In the office next door to Enrico is Adrian Newey, now also in Aston Green. Enrico tells me about working alongside Adrian at Aston's state-of-the-art factory at Silverstone, and what Lance Stroll has in common with Raikkonen, and how feedback from him and Fernando Alonso is driving the team forward. Aston Martin are gearing up for a huge opportunity, and Enrico is right at the heart of things. Enrico, it's lovely to see you again. How are you, first of all?
I'm very fine. Very good. Thank you.
Now, how are you enjoying life at Aston Martin and in England?
Actually, I'm enjoying both of them. In Aston Martin, I'm very excited. It's amazing. I embraced a huge challenge. There is a lot of stuff to do, but there is the opportunity to shape a team. And the exciting stuff is that we have all what we need, including the commitment of the owner for getting our final results, which is winning. So this is very exciting and encouraging, even if there is a lot of stuff to do. I surprisingly love living in UK. I love people. Perhaps the weather is not as good as in Italy, but people are very warm, very inclusive. There is, in the place where I live, in small villages, there is a great sense of community, which is absolutely lovely.
Is this your first experience of living outside of Italy?
It is, definitely it is.
I'm also fascinated, because of course you've come from Ferrari, the Ferrari Italian way of doing Formula One versus the British garagiste way of doing Formula One. Is there a big difference? Have you noticed that?
There is a difference. I can feel a difference. It would be unfair now to give more details because on one end, Ferrari is a very established company with processes, with tools, with everything already in place. Here in Aston Martin, we are working for getting there, shaping our processes, developing our new tools because wind tunnel, we are using our brand new wind tunnel since, March this year. There is a lot to do before extracting the full potential of our tools. Other stuff needs to be improved and so on. But definitely it's different the way Italians think compared to what the way of tackling problems by an English person.
Enrico, it's so interesting. I had Fred Vasseur, the team principal of Ferrari, on the show recently, and he was saying that the passion of Italians is both a great strength, but also a great weakness of Ferrari. And his job as the team principal there is to try and sort of keep people more level, not too happy when things go well, not too sad when things go badly. Is that something you think happens in the UK? Or is there not less passion, but are people more level in their approach to success and failure?
Here, people are definitely less emotional, and this is a strength. Is a characteristic I like very much. Then sometimes one thing is passion for what you are doing, how much driven you are. The other stuff is how emotional you became when you have a problem, you are under pressure. In this respect, people here are less emotional. They stay calm when the pressure rises. And not, losing the focus to the target.
Tell us a little bit more about Aston. You said a minute ago that, you've got great facilities here. You talked about the wind tunnel. You're an aerodynamicist by trade. How has tech come on when it comes to wind tunnel? This one was opened, I think, around the time of the Australian Grand Prix earlier this year, wasn't it? Is this the benchmark in terms of wind tunnels in Formula One now?
I guess definitely yes. It's a brand new wind tunnel with the state-of-the-art of the technology available inside. It's a very complex machine. We are not definitely exploiting yet the full potential of this facility. So we have a clear roadmap we are following for getting the best we can out of it.
Why is it difficult to exploit one of these tunnels to its full potential?
One of the aspects which evolved the most in those years in a wind tunnel is all the technology for visualizing the flow, which is a key aspect on developing an F1 car, because an F1 car development is based on managing the flow around the car. So to have an aerodynamicist in the position of seeing what's going on in CFD first and wind tunnel after for correlation is a key aspect for understanding the problem and then boosting as a consequence the performance. And to set up all these kind of devices takes a bit of time, especially being brand new and not having people which already worked on this kind of stuff.
Is it a 100% wind tunnel?
It's a 100% wind tunnel, but by regulation we are not allowed to test models greater than 60%.
Just out of interest, how much more accurate could you be with a life-size model rather than 60% model? Could you be 40% more accurate? Is it as simple as that?
There are pros and cons. The development on a full-scale model would be massively more expensive, and perhaps it would take even also more time for changing parts, producing parts, manufacturing parts. So all in all, perhaps 60% is a good compromise for carry on development with all the runs allowed by FIA.
Let's throw it forward in the context of aerodynamics to 2026. What are the biggest challenges of the new rules coming in next year?
In general, the new regulations are a big departures in many aspects. It's because it's not changing just the aero, but it's changing also the minimum weight. It will be a huge challenge compared to what is used to be in the past. Power unit that will be brand new with a new fuel. So there are a lot of things which are changing, making the exercise interesting.
Will the floor be as influential next year as it currently is in 25?
At the end of the day, an F1 car generates most of its load with the floor. The 2026 car in general will generate less downforce than the current generation of car, but the floor will remain a key aspect on developing the aero of the car.
Look, what about movable aerodynamics? I don't yet fully understand what that means. Can you explain how it's going to work next year?
But it's down to the nature of the 26 regulations, where the electrical power has been increased, but the ability of the car of recovering energy has been decreased. So from there, the need of spending less time possible down the straights. As a consequence, the DRS effect has been increased in a way that has been needed to add also front device for balancing the car, with the spirit of being as quick as possible down the straight to not spend time there where we consume electrical power. This is the nature of what we are doing. I would say it's nothing really special. As usual, it's more working for getting the load needed in corners, and then, checking that the car behavior in straight line mode, SLM mode, will be right.
Enrico, is your job full 2026, or are you looking at the 25 car still, you personally?
Me personally, I would say 90% focus on the 26 car. Then I used to attend emission control here in the campus, all the races, because, following the races, the preparation and so on is a way for better understanding people, understanding which are our tools, which level they are, if we are missing something, which are the strengths and the weakness of what we are doing. So basically, the development is only 2026. I spend time also looking after the 2025 car.
And how is development going? Do you see the 26 regs as a bigger departure than 2022?
Is a departure. It's definitely a departure. Then every time you tackle new regulations, I had the same feeling I remember in 2021 with the new regulation coming, which compared to the previous one, they seem to be oversimplified, extremely restrictive. Then when you start working on them, you find that, okay, they are restrictive, but actually you have also room for being creative, for finding new solution, for getting load out of the development. So basically, I'm feeling the same. When we started looking at them, so okay, they are a bit sad, they are over-constrained, but then actually working on them, you find a degree of freedom for, developing the car.
And is progress linear, or is it quite a bumpy road where you make progress and then you stall for a bit and then you have a breakthrough where you suddenly find...
It's a bit, you have months where it's pretty much linear. Then you can struggle for a few weeks. Then you find, it's a new concept which unlocks the area and so on.
I read a really interesting article recently in which Brembo, the brake manufacturer, was saying they're getting differing information from the teams. Does that mean, do you think, we're going to see lots of different solutions next year? Do you think the cars might look quite different?
I guess so. Like happened in 2022, if you like, Perhaps they are expecting a bit more convergence straight out of the box, which has not been the case. I guess in 2026 we could assist to something very similar with more concepts across the grid. Yeah, I'm expecting this.
This episode is sponsored by TrueWork. TrueWork makes technical workwear designed for people who work hard in tough conditions. Hot, cold, wet and windy, TrueWork can handle it all. It was actually founded by a trade professional who knows just how tough it can be to have wet, heavy gear weighing you down when you're already working hard. Not only do you need to stay dry and comfortable on site, it also needs to be durable. From technical pants to base layers and work shirts to insulated outerwear like hoodies and jackets, every single piece is tested on job sites with real trade pros, so you can be sure that when conditions change, you're still protected. TrueWork were kind enough to send me their M3 Whoopie hoodie and their T2 work pants. And while I can't test them on a job site like the pros, I can definitely vouch for the quality. The hoodie is incredibly warm and very comfortable, and I love how water resistant the work pants are. Perfect, you could argue, for the upcoming Brazilian Grand Prix because it always rains at Interlagos, doesn't it? Upgrade your day with workwear built like it matters. Get 15% off your first order at truework.com with the code GRID. That's TRUEWERK.com. One of the things I love most about Formula One is how its past is always present. From iconic liveries to legendary rivalries, history isn't just something we look back on, it's what gives the sport its soul. And that's why I'm so pleased to be partnering with Honda Vintage Culture for this episode, because that same spirit is stitched into every piece of their clothing collection. For more than 75 years, Honda has helped shape motorsport. As an engine supplier, a technology pioneer, and the force behind some of F1's most unforgettable eras. From their first Grand Prix win in 1965 to powering teams to multiple world championships in the late 80s and early 90s. Some of you might remember that unlike the race teams in those eras, Honda engineers and technicians often wore their own distinct uniforms, and Honda Vintage Culture brings those looks back to life. These aren't just retro pieces, they're heritage garments. Jackets, tees, hoodies and caps, reimagined with modern cuts, materials and detailing built for everyday wear. The officially licensed collection draws inspiration from key breakthroughs and championship-winning moments where Honda left its mark on the sport forever. With Honda set to return to Formula One in 2026 as the works power unit supplier for Aston Martin, now feels like the perfect time to celebrate that legacy and wear a piece of it. And with worldwide shipping available, it's easier than ever to do just that. Right now, listeners can get 20% off the full Honda Vintage Culture range. Just head to hondavintageculture.com and use the code BTG20 at checkout. That's 20% off with the code BTG20 at hondavintageculture.com. Can we talk about Honda now? Obviously, you've worked with Ferrari, you're working with Mercedes now, this year, at Aston Martin. What can you tell us about Honda and how much interaction have you had with them?
Personally, since I joined, I'm focusing my attention on the chassis. So just marginally, I'm seeing what Honda is doing. For what I see, I am surprised by the commitment and the aggressive approach they have. They are very open on collaborating on satisfying the request we have chassis side. So, but my focus is so far is completely, I would say, on the chassis development rather than on the power unit.
But isn't it interesting how you're going to have just two cars with Honda Power next year? And I suppose one side of it says that's only two cars worth of data, particularly early on. But equally, Honda only have to focus on Aston Martin in terms of what your requests are. So there are positives and negatives, aren't there?
Yes, I like more the positive side of this period because on one hand, during the development, they're just following, trying to satisfy our request. So they don't need to find any compromise with different requests on one hand. On the other hand, I guess they can push a bit more on development because having to provide power units just to one team, the quantities are lower than having multiple teams. This, I guess, is allowing them to push more for the development.
Sakura in Japan, where the engines are designed and built, I don't know if you've had a chance to go yet. I know Andy Cowell has been there recently, hasn't he? But I've been there once. It is the most phenomenal place I think I've ever been. I was taken up onto into the design office, and it is so long that I couldn't see the far wall, and it was just all on Formula One. This was back in the sort of BAR Honda days, so it may have changed a bit, but it's an extraordinary facility. And when you combine what they have in Japan with what Aston has here at Silverstone and how well thought out this factory is, it's the coming together of certainly two great facilities. Now, look, I mentioned Andy Cowell there. He's obviously the team principal now. He ran HPP at Mercedes. He was the bane of your life for many years, as was Adrian Newey, of course.
Yes.
Two phenomenal engineers. I know there's a lot of talent here, but can we just focus on these two guys in particular? Starting with Andy. It's early days in your relationship, I understand that, but what are your first impressions of Andy?
I mean, absolutely positive, because it's a very pleasure to work with him. He's a very structured engineer. He's very disciplined on respecting process, creating a process. He's very open. He's a person you can absolutely talk with. You can compare your ideas with his ideas. He's open. He's absolutely open, and he's pushing. He's very demanding with all the organization, but which is absolutely right. Somehow he's inspiring, and he's driving the change we are working on.
He's interesting too, because yes, he's an engine man, but he started his career with Reynard. So if you could say you're a chassis man at heart, Andy.
At a certain point, yeah, he had to decide if to be a chassis man or a power unit man. I went for the power unit. I mean, looking at the results,
it was a good shout.
Yeah, he did very well.
What then about Adrian Newey? You're a chassis man. He's a chassis man. Can you explain to us, first of all, how the relationship works in terms of what you look after and what Adrian looks after?
Adrian is definitely the engine moving the development of the car. Our offices are one next to the other. I'm working basically on making sure that understanding where Adrian wanna go, make sure that he will have all the information, best quality of information needed while developing all the process around for making doable all the challenges he give to the organization.
Do you still use a drawing board? He does.
Of course. No, me, no. No, I'm not so good. Different generation. Let's put it this way.
Well, he told me once he tried to get his head round sort of CAD systems, and he just finds it easier to use the drawing board.
My perspective is amazing how we can think in 3D and then releasing design in 2D. So it means that his ability is enormous.
When you think of his ability, is it the fact that he can visualize the whole car? Is that the standout quality of Adrian Newey?
Yeah, Adrian is a mix of two things that are making him unique. Because on one hand, there is a very, very bright, outstanding engineer and a very bright mind. On the other hand, there is a long experience done when F1 team were made by just few people, and the technology to support the development was not as much as we have now. So he developed his career with the technology available for developing the car, being all the time on top of this technology.
Having worked with him for a few months now, can you understand why he has those 13 drivers' titles and 12 constructors?
Of course. Talking with him is like talking... a modern F1 team is like talking with, at the same time, the chief designer, the vehicle dynamics expert, the chief aero is, in just one person, you find so many different skills, which is unique.
Is there one particular thing that you've learned of Adrian?
If I have to mention one, is how uncompromised he is. How driven he is for achieving his goal without doing any compromise anywhere, pushing all the stuff, regardless of the magnitude, to the perfection.
Just explain what you mean by that. So what, he will come up with an idea that on paper looks impossible to achieve, and then you just work out together with the rest of the team how you turn that into reality.
But it's more than this, because when he releases something, he has already in mind how to achieve it. So if someone in the organization should struggle for achieving it, is supportive on providing all the details needed for what he has in mind for make it doable. He's able to work at a very high level, but then when needed, he can dive deep down on the details for the feasibility.
What a fascinating man he is. Now look, can we discuss now just the design process? When you're designing a car to a new set of regulations, which is what's happening now, what's the first bit you look at?
Every time you start with the aero in mind, reading the regulations, guessing which is the best architecture you can design for promoting and boosting the aero development of the car.
And do you get ideas from outside of Formula One? Do you look at the aeroplane industry for inspiration, for example?
Not for the aero development, I would say. I mean, we look outside the F1 eventually for the technology available. Technology for manufacturing, technology for software or stuff like this, but not definitely for the aero development, also because we have the opposite target, no? We hope to squash more than anybody else the car to the ground.
No lift. Please, no lift.
There's no lift.
Are fast cars invariably beautiful cars?
Perhaps. To me, the car is nice only if it's quick. So I cannot, when I look at the car before being presented, of course, it's a product of your work. I like it when I see the first time the car all together, but there is all the time this question mark, will be quicker. If it's quicker, I definitely fall in love. If not, is kind of your son, but not the favorite one.
Enrico, can we have a look now at your career path, your journey to where you are today? So let's wind the clock back sort of 25 years-ish. It feels from the outside looking in that you were always destined to start your career in Maranello at Ferrari. Your university thesis was on the Ferrari wind tunnel, wasn't it? Just how much time did you spend in Maranello during your university years?
During the university, not much. I went to Maranello for, I would say, 3 weeks in total. 2 of them were the wind tunnel session. I had the luxury to have the wind tunnel available. One of the, at that time, Ferrari's wind tunnel available for a couple of weeks. And then I would say a few other days for preparing the session, discussing results and so on. So actually, I would say 3 to 4 weeks at that time. But then I had the opportunity to stay there for 20 years.
Got your feet under the table. But when you were there doing your thesis, did they give you access to any of the F1 information? Were you able to speak to any of the aerodynamicists working on the F1 car?
No, because at that time, since I left, students were not involved in the development of the car. And in my case, the thesis was for the road car division, not for the F1.
You then get a job in the GT division at Ferrari. Just describe what that was like and the sort of projects you were working on.
I spent a lot of life working on road cars. When I started in 2004, my work was around the cooling system, the thermal management, I would say, of the car. So nothing related to aerodynamics, but was just sizing radiators, heat exchangers, heat shields I was in charge of making sure that apart the passengers, all the rest, the temperature of the rest was under control. The interesting stuff was that at that time Ferrari was all in all a small company. So I had the opportunity to do this job across all the cars in Ferrari. And then after a couple of years, I started to add more responsibilities. I started to work on aero just, I guess, a couple of years after in 2006, stuff like that. And then progressively, I kept adding other performances to my remit. All the time across all the Ferrari's cars, which was extremely exciting.
What a privilege to work on.
Absolutely a privilege.
And then when was your first brush with the competition side of the business?
The first time I touched competition was with aero, I would say 2006 or 7, because at that time the GT2 cars were not developed by the F1 team. The F1 team was focused only on the F1 car. All the other track activities of Ferrari were carried out by the GT division. So the first car I worked a bit was the 430 GT2. Then I did the 458 GT2 or GT, I don't remember the name, and I changed it so many times, which was, perhaps the very first contact with the motorsport, the 458.
Did you ever go to Le Mans with that car?
Yes, I did. It's something completely different, no? Because the most striking stuff for me has always been the change in balance between quali and race. No, because as being competitive, I'm prone to give a lot of importance to quali. No, because quali is the max performance of the car, is where you may really measure your job. Then, of course, you don't score points during the quali, so you need to do enough good job during the race for scoring points. On the 24 hours, it's completely different, if you like. No, it's much less relevant where you are in quali, because everything can happen. Something is under your control, something else you must be prepared on reacting to unknown. It's an extremely fascinating world.
Did you sleep?
Not a lot.
This episode is sponsored by Shopify. And if you've shopped online lately, chances are you've bought from a business powered by it. You know that purple Shop Pay button at checkout, the one that makes buying so incredibly easy. That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses use it, because Shopify makes it so simple to start and run your business. Did you know that Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from major names like Mattel and Gymshark to small brands just getting started? And what's great is that it gives you all the tools you need from day one. You can build your storefront using their stunning ready-to-go templates, and there's zero coding required. Plus, you can manage everything in one place, from inventory to payments and analytics. And don't skip its built-in email and marketing tools, expertly designed to help you spread the word about your brand with ease. Oh, and that iconic purple Shop Pay button, it's not just popular, it's the best converting checkout on the planet. Your customers already love it. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/beyondthegrid. Go to shopify.com/beyondthegrid. Shopify.com/beyondthegrid. This episode is brought to you by Salesforce, a global partner of Formula One. Formula One drives fan excitement with Agentforce, the powerful AI from Salesforce. As Formula One fans, you know there's excitement everywhere you look in this sport. You might love the split-second decisions that make or break a race, the rivalry between drivers, or the amazing sight of cars racing down the Las Vegas Strip. Excitement is different for everyone, so the more F1 knows about their fans, the more they can keep each one on the edge of their seat. That's why Formula One can use Agent Force to personalize millions of fan experiences with AI. With Agent Force, they will create more audience segments to send the right message to the right person at exactly the right time. They can speed up service responses by 80% and even tailor communication styles to fan preferences. The best part, they can do it all with AI agents in the voice of F1. Visit salesforce.com/F1 to learn more about how Formula One drives fan excitement with Agent Force, the powerful AI from Salesforce. So you then get the nod to go to the F1 division in 2016. Tell us how that opportunity came about.
It happened that at a certain point in 2016, June, July, I've been called for a chat with Sergio Marchionne, not even knowing for which reason Marchionne wanted to talk with me. And so I had this 1 hour conversation with him, but without, exactly knowing who is supposed to, where he asked about many different stuff. What do you think about this guy? What do you think about the other guy? What do you think about F1? Why you think they are not winning? Stuff like this. But I mean, I went out after 1 hour without having exactly understood the reason why. I discovered just a few days after that he decided that my future would have been in F1. And from there, from a day to another, I moved to F1.
Were you looking to join the F1 division?
Not really. There was my dream when I decided to study aerospace engineering. I did these studies for understanding the reason why of the shapes of an F1 car. But then I started to work on road cars. I developed my career there. I would never thought that after so many years I would have had the opportunity to move to F1 in an important role. This has been, really shocking.
Marchionne was a formidable figure, wasn't he? Was he intimidating to talk to?
It was challenging. It was definitely challenging because he used to ask for simple questions requiring at the end, simple answers, but after a complex process of thinking exactly what the right answer would have been. So what in this respect was extremely challenging. Was a demanding man, extremely straight and sharp. I never felt intimidated by Marchionne, but perhaps that is just me.
Of course, he was running Ferrari back then. Are there any parallels between him and what Lawrence Stroll is doing here at Aston Martin?
Of course, there are many.
Are they similar characters?
Yes, they are very similar character, and they are both visionary and inspiring people. They have a vision. They have actions, and they are so energetic to inspire people.
When you're at Ferrari, it's a pressure cooker of an environment, isn't it? That particularly from the media, the Italian media is very demanding. What's it like to live that life?
Here I can mention Marchionne, which once told me, Cardile, don't read.
Don't read the media.
Don't read. Forget them. Don't read. Don't pay attention. Which at the end of the day is the best thing to do. The only things you should do. I took a bit of time before applying this suggestion, because when you read, you know exactly the story. You know everything. When you read something, sometimes you feel very much upset. The problem when you are the technical director is managing, basically is what Fred said, managing the consequences of what you read on news, on the internet or whatsoever, with the organization you have, perhaps the people involved on some comment. That is, the stuff to pay attention to.
It was really interesting earlier this year, Montreal time, when Fred was having a bit of grief in the Italian media, people questioning his long-term future. I have never seen Fred so upset as he was then. And I just wanted to say to him what Marchione said to you, Fred, don't read it. Don't read it. Because, it's like being in politics and being in opposition. It's very easy for journalists to say what should be happening, unaware of all the pressures and different demands that are on the people making the decisions, isn't it? At Ferrari, does the technical team get the same adoration as the drivers?
In magnitude, definitely not. But yeah, you are recognized. Sometimes there are people are so in love with Ferrari, with the F1 in Italy, that there are many people which are knowing also the members of the main members of the team. Yeah.
I mentioned drivers. Can we talk about some that you've worked with now? Some of the modern day greats, actually, when you think about it. Multiple race winners like Vettel, Raikkonen, Leclerc when you were at Ferrari, and of course Alonso being a two-time champion here at Aston Martin. What qualities do you think all of those people I've just mentioned share?
I would say the ability of describing what they feel, and free practice, you comment the car, you don't like the car is weak here and there, and blah, blah, blah. They are very good, all of them are very good on precisely describing what they would like. But then we achieve, we improve, we don't improve the car. When it's quali, when it's race, when they close the visor, they are fully committed of exploiting all the potential, every single drop of performance in the car.
How much detail do they go into in a debrief? I mean, when you're talking, I remember Vettel used to have a little handwritten notebook. Would he give you almost meter by meter detail through a corner? What the car was doing?
The amazing stuff when you deal with an F1 driver, so which they are able to talk. It's very weird because that what they are describing happened in a few milliseconds, tenths of a seconds, but the description they are providing to you is a slow motion, like if this happened in 1 minute, 2 minutes, time to think, time to remember, time to understand and feeling different aspects on the car. This is the amazing stuff when you deal with an F1 driver.
And then when you're dealing with someone like Alonso, who has all of that experience, insane amount of experience, does he use that when he's describing a car? So he'll be telling you what the car is doing, but will he also be able to compare it to previous years? And does that help?
He does. He does when, among same generation of cars, he can help. He can help somehow if, for being even more clear. So guys, look back when I drove that car in that specific corner, great memory. That car I felt was better. Then it's up to us to understand what better is, which characteristic he liked the most.
He's almost like a computer, Alonso, isn't he? When
yes.
Conversations I have with him, he's incredibly numerate. He's very good with numbers, isn't he? And has a sort of photographic memory.
Yes.
I find it quite intimidating how he can just remember things that I might not even thought were important, but he's got it. He's got that power of recall, hasn't he?
Yes, definitely. Definitely is a very good memory. He's a smart guy.
And what about Lance Stroll? What has surprised you about Lance working with him?
He's a very talented guy. He talks less than Fernando. Perhaps he's even sharper than Fernando says. The nice thing for us is they are pretty much aligned. which is, I would say, simplifying our life, no? Because we are receiving comments which are along the same side. They have a different sensibility on different aspects of the driving, but they are just the details.
When you say Lance speaks less than Fernando, I'm immediately thinking, does he remind you of Raikkonen in terms of his feedback? In that Kimi always used to say very little, but what he did say was worth listening to.
Yes, definitely. You knew Kimi, definitely, yes.
Can we throw it forward finally to next year? It's a huge year for Formula One. There are a lot of teams thinking it's an opportunity to leapfrog up the order. Aston is, of course, no different. If you end up winning races and challenging for championships with this team, how much satisfaction will that give you?
Good question. You are not asking this to the right person. I'm not good on celebrating. So I will be massively satisfied for 5 minutes, because then is, okay, what next? That is my nature.
So when you've won races in the past, you've celebrated like this, Sunday night, Monday morning, back at it.
Yes, of course. Already Sunday night thinking, okay, I was going on the wind tunnel, when we bring the next package, what we missed, which were the weaknesses we should work on. I need targets. I need the journey to the target.
What a brilliant chat. Thank you very much, Enrico. I'm now going to end this, what I call the traditional way. I've been asking the following question to everyone on the podcast this year. The sport is 75 years old in 2025. Can you give me a moment in F1 history that made a big impression on you? And it doesn't have to involve your career. It can be anything in the last 75 years.
I like to remember, I grew up with my father reading a weekly magazine on F1 when internet didn't exist. So there was a few magazines in Italy talking about F1. And specifically, I remember one car, which has been the car was, okay, I want to understand. I'm too curious. I want to definitely understand the reason why an F1 car has these shapes. It was I don't remember the name of the car. It was a Tyrrell, the one with the gull wing, front wing.
The high nose, the Harvey Postlethwaite designed car that Jean Alesi raced.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Sort of 89.
Yes, I remember specifically on top of my mind. I don't even remember if it was a competitive or not, that car. But I remember the click I had with this car.
That was the car.
Which year was it? Sorry?
Alesi started racing that in 89. And then in 90, at the first race in Phoenix, he even overtook Ayrton Senna, which caught Ayrton out in the McLaren, I think. It was when sort of Alesi really arrived in Formula One.
I exactly remember this click.
Yeah, and it was the first high-nosed Formula One car. You know, Tyrrell, a very small team, punching above its weight with innovations like that. Enrico, thank you very much for your time. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you for the interview.
The Tyrrell 018 was a beautiful car and revolutionary in so many ways. It's hardly surprising that teenaged Enrico was impressed by it, given his interest in aerodynamics. I loved this chat with Enrico because I learned so much about the mentality of a front-running F1 engineer. His competitiveness and his desire to learn really come across, and I'm sure he'll be a brilliant foil for Adrian Newey. And I loved Enrico's description of how Adrian thinks in 3D before releasing designs in 2D. It'll be fascinating to see what Aston can achieve next year, and we haven't got long to wait to find out. Enrico, thanks for your time. It was great to chat. Well, that's almost it for this week. Remember that you can watch episodes of F1 Beyond the Grid on the F1 YouTube channel, and you can find episodes of our two other podcasts, F1 Nation and F1 Explains, on your podcast app. Thanks very much for listening. I'll see you next time. F1 Beyond the Grid is produced by Formula One and Audioboom Studios. Until next time, keep it flat out.